Communication is the foundation of any meaningful relationship, and sometimes what you don't say is just as important as what you do say. These 7 phrases might seem innocent at first glance, but they can subtly undermine your confidence and attraction in ways you might not even realize. The truth is, becoming a high-value communicator isn't about memorizing pickup lines or tricks. It's about developing authentic confidence that naturally expresses itself through your words. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So whether you're single and actively dating, in a relationship you want to strengthen, or just looking to level up your communication skills with women, this video is going to give you practical insights that you can apply right away. Get ready to take notes, because we're about to dive deep into the psychology behind these communication patterns. Thing 1. I'm sorry for taking up your time. The first thing high-value men never say is, I'm sorry for taking up your time, or any variation that apologizes for their very presence. Picture this. You've just approached someone you're interested in, or maybe you're on a first date, and you start with, sorry to bother you, or thanks for making time for me, I know you must be busy. Maybe you've sent a text message that begins with, sorry to disturb you, but while this might seem polite on the surface, it immediately positions you as someone who doesn't value their own time or presence. You're essentially saying, my time is worth less than yours, and I'm grateful you're even acknowledging me. Let me share a real story from my friend James. He used to begin every conversation with women by apologizing for taking their time. On dating apps, in person, even when scheduling dates with women who clearly wanted to see him. One day, a woman he was dating for a few weeks finally told him, you know, when you constantly apologize for taking my time, it makes me wonder why I should value time with you when you don't seem to value it yourself. That was a wake-up call for him. What's fascinating is how quickly his dating life transformed once he dropped this habit. The same women who seemed lukewarm before suddenly became much more engaged and interested. One woman even mentioned that his newfound confidence was what attracted her most. Here's what's happening psychologically. When you apologize for your presence, you're setting up a power dynamic where you're beneath the other person. You're communicating that you see yourself as an inconvenience rather than an equal or an asset. And perception is reality. People will see you how you see yourself. Instead of apologizing, high-value men approach interactions with the mindset that they're offering value through their presence, not taking value away. They might say something like, I noticed you from across the room and wanted to introduce myself, or simply, I'm really enjoying our conversation. If you need to acknowledge someone's time, you can do it without diminishing yourself. Try, I appreciate you making time to meet today, instead of, sorry for taking up your time. Notice the subtle but powerful difference. One acknowledges their time while maintaining your own worth, while the other positions you as a burden. This isn't about arrogance, it's about having a healthy sense of self-worth. When you believe your time has value, others will believe it too. Remember, confidence is contagious, but unfortunately, so is insecurity. Try this experiment. For 1 week, eliminate all unnecessary apologies from your vocabulary. No, sorry to bother you. No, sorry to ask. Nothing that positions your presence as a negative. Notice how differently people respond to you. Thing 2. I'll do anything to make you happy. The second phrase high-value men never use is, I'll do anything to make you happy, or whatever you want, I'm fine with anything. Now, caring about someone's happiness is wonderful and essential in relationships, but there's a crucial difference between caring about someone's happiness and making yourself entirely responsible for it. When you tell someone, I'll do anything to make you happy, you're setting an impossible standard for yourself. You're also signaling that you don't have boundaries, preferences, or a sense of self outside of the relationship. This isn't romantic, it's a recipe for an unhealthy dynamic that will eventually collapse. Let me tell you about Michael, who met his girlfriend Sarah at a friend's wedding. Early in their relationship, he was so afraid of losing her that he constantly told her, "I just want to make you happy. Tell me what to do and I'll do it." He would drop everything whenever she called, change his plans at a moment's notice, and essentially make her the sole focus of his life. At first, Sarah found this endearing, but after a few months, she started losing interest. Michael was confused. Wasn't he doing everything right? Wasn't he being the perfect boyfriend? When they finally talked about it, she admitted, "I don't want someone who will do anything for me. I want someone who has their own passions, opinions, and occasionally challenges me in healthy ways. When you make me responsible for your entire happiness, it feels like pressure, not love." What's fascinating about this scenario is that it plays out thousands of times every day across the world. Men think they're being devoted partners, but they're actually creating a dynamic that's fundamentally unsatisfying for both people. Psychology research has consistently shown that healthy relationships require two complete individuals coming together, not two halves trying to make a whole. When you position yourself as having no identity outside of pleasing someone else, you become less attractive, not more. High-value men understand that true happiness in relationships comes from mutual growth and respect, not from one person sacrificing their entire identity for the other. They know that sometimes saying no or expressing a different preference actually strengthens the relationship rather than weakening it. Instead of saying, "I'll do anything to make you happy," they might say, "I care about your happiness and I want to contribute to it while still being true to myself." They understand that having reasonable boundaries and maintaining their identity makes them more attractive, not less. This doesn't mean becoming selfish or uncaring. Quite the opposite. It means showing up as a complete person who has their own values, interests, and perspectives to share. It means being honest about what you can and cannot give, which builds trust and authenticity. Next time you're tempted to say anything you want or whatever makes you happy, pause and ask yourself, what do I actually want in this situation? Then express that with kindness and confidence. You'll be amazed at how much more respect you receive. Thing 3. I'm not like other guys. The third thing high-value men never say is, "I'm not like other guys." This phrase has become so common in dating that it's practically a cliché, and women hear it all the time, from the player at the bar, from the nice guy on a first date, and from every type of man in between. When you tell someone, "I'm not like other guys," you're actually communicating several problematic things. First, you're putting down an entire gender to elevate yourself, which rarely comes across as genuine. It's like saying, "Most men are terrible, but I'm the exception." This not only insults half the population, but also raises questions about how you view people in general. Second, you're making a claim without evidence. Actions speak louder than words. If you truly are different in meaningful ways, she'll notice without you having to point it out. Making this claim is like a restaurant advertising, "Our food is delicious." If it actually is, they don't need to say it. Third, this phrase often comes with an implicit request for special treatment or recognition, which can feel manipulative. It creates an expectation that she should now appreciate you more or give you more chances based solely on your self-assessment. I remember my buddy Alex, who used this line on just about every first date. He couldn't figure out why he rarely got second dates, despite feeling like the conversations went well. One day, he actually got feedback from a woman who told him, "When you told me you weren't like other guys, all I could think was, that's exactly what all the other guys say too." What Alex didn't realize was that this phrase has become a red flag for many women because it's often used by people who are, ironically, exactly like other guys in the worst ways. They just lack self-awareness. There's also a deeper psychological issue here. When you feel the need to verbally distinguish yourself from others, it often comes from insecurity rather than confidence. Truly confident people don't need to announce their uniqueness. They simply embody it naturally. High-value men don't need to tell women they're different. They show it through their actions, their consistency, and the way they carry themselves. They understand that genuine uniqueness doesn't need a spotlight on it. Instead of claiming to be different, they focus on being present and authentic. They let their character speak for itself. They might discuss their specific values, interests, or perspectives, but they do so without the comparative framework of unlike other men. If you want to stand out, don't tell her you're different. Be different. Listen more deeply than others do. Be more consistent than others are. Show more genuine curiosity than others show. These actions will communicate your uniqueness far more effectively than words ever could. Thing 4. You're way out of my league. The fourth phrase high-value men never say is, "You're way out of my league," or any variation that puts women on a pedestal. This might seem like a harmless compliment, but it actually creates an immediate imbalance in the dynamic. When you tell someone they're out of your league, you're establishing a hierarchy where they're above you. This might boost their ego momentarily, but it doesn't create the foundation for mutual respect and attraction. I once worked with a client named David who was consistently attracting women initially, but struggling to maintain their interest. During our coaching sessions, I noticed he frequently used phrases like, "I still can't believe you're interested in me," and "You could have any guy, why me?" He thought he was being humble and complimentary, but he was actually sabotaging himself. What David didn't realize was that by constantly questioning why these women would be interested in him, he was actually planting those same doubts in their minds. It's a psychological principle called priming. When you repeatedly suggest an idea, people become more likely to consider it themselves. There's a fascinating psychological phenomenon at play here called the pedestal effect. When you put someone on a pedestal, two things happen. First, they have nowhere to look but down at you. Second, they feel pressure to be perfect, which creates distance and discomfort. One woman David had been dating for a month finally told him, "When you constantly act like I'm doing you a favor by being with you, it makes me wonder if there's something wrong with you that I'm not seeing." This hit him hard because his intention had been the opposite, to make her feel valued. High-value men approach relationships as equals. They can absolutely acknowledge and appreciate someone's positive qualities without diminishing themselves in the process. They might say, "I'm really enjoying getting to know you," or specifically compliment something they genuinely admire without the self-deprecation. Think about the most charismatic, confident people you know. Do they act amazed when attractive people want to talk to them? Or do they engage with everyone, from celebrities to strangers, with the same genuine confidence? Remember, attraction isn't just about physical appearance. It's about confidence, character, and how you make others feel in your presence. When you act like you're not good enough for someone, eventually they might start to believe you. Here's a practical tip. The next time you're tempted to tell someone they're out of your league, shift your perspective. Instead of thinking, "Why would they be interested in me?" ask yourself, "What unique value do I bring to this interaction?" This mental shift can transform how you carry yourself and how others perceive you. Thing 5. Sorry, I'm just really busy right now. The fifth thing high-value men never say is, "Sorry, I'm just really busy right now," as a default response or excuse. Let's be clear, everyone gets busy. We all have work, responsibilities, and commitments that demand our time and energy. The issue isn't being busy, it's how you communicate about your priorities. When "I'm busy" becomes your go-to explanation for not making time for someone, what you're really communicating is, other things are consistently more important to me than you are. And while that might be true in some cases, it's rarely what you intend to convey. I have a friend named Thomas who was dating a woman he really liked, but whenever she tried to make plans, his default response was, "Sorry, I'm swamped with work right now." He would take days to respond to texts and often cancelled plans last minute, always citing how busy he was. He genuinely was working long hours, but his communication style was creating unnecessary distance. After a few weeks of this, she stopped reaching out. When he finally had time and contacted her, she politely explained that she was looking for someone who could prioritize a relationship even during busy periods. "Everyone is busy," she told him. "It's about making time for what matters." This hit Thomas hard because he did value her, he just wasn't communicating it effectively. He was using busy as a shield rather than being honest about his availability and priorities. What's interesting from a psychological perspective is that constantly telling someone you're too busy for them actually devalues both of you. It devalues them because it suggests they're not worth making time for, and it devalues you because it portrays you as someone who can't manage your time effectively. High-value men understand that it's not about having unlimited free time. It's about being honest and specific about your availability and making someone a priority when you can. They know that quality of attention matters more than quantity of time. Instead of the vague "I'm busy" excuse, they might say, "I have a deadline this Thursday, but I'd love to see you Friday evening or sometime over the weekend." This shows that while they have commitments, they're also making a conscious effort to create space for the relationship. Or if they truly are in an extremely busy period, they might say, "I'm in the middle of a major project that's requiring all my focus right now, but I'd really like to connect properly when it wraps up next week. Can I call you on Tuesday to make plans?" This acknowledges the reality of their schedule while still expressing genuine interest. Everyone is busy. It's about who we choose to make time for, and how we communicate that choice matters tremendously. Next time you're tempted to use "I'm busy" as an explanation, challenge yourself to be more specific and solution-oriented. You'll be amazed at how much more positively people respond. Thing 6. I don't know. What do you want to do? The sixth phrase high-value men avoid is the passive "I don't know. What do you want to do?" when making plans or decisions. Now, there's nothing wrong with being flexible or considerate of someone else's preferences. But when indecisiveness becomes your default mode, it can become mentally exhausting for the other person. Many men fall into this pattern thinking they're being accommodating, but what often happens is they're actually creating what psychologists call decision fatigue. They're unknowingly transferring the mental load of planning and decision-making entirely to the woman. I remember coaching a client named Ryan who couldn't understand why his relationships kept fizzling out after a few months. When we dug deeper, we discovered that he never took initiative in planning dates or activities. His go-to phrase was, "Whatever you want is fine with me." He never suggested restaurants, activities, or weekend plans. He always deferred to the women he was dating. His ex eventually told him that planning everything made her feel more like his mother than his partner. "It felt like I was dating a passive passenger in my life, not an active partner," she explained. "I wanted someone with ideas and opinions, not just a yes man." What's fascinating from a social dynamics perspective is that while Ryan thought he was being easygoing and accommodating, he was actually creating an imbalanced relationship where his partners had to do all the emotional and mental labor of decision-making. This pattern is incredibly common, and it stems from a misunderstanding of what consideration actually means. True consideration isn't about abandoning your preferences. It's about finding the balance between expressing what you want and being attentive to the other person's desires. There's also compelling research showing that people who contribute ideas and take initiative in relationships are perceived as more attractive and engaging. It's not about being controlling, it's about being an active participant who adds value to the dynamic. High-value men understand that taking initiative doesn't mean being controlling. It means being an active participant in the relationship. They might say, "I was thinking we could check out that new restaurant downtown, but I'm also open to other ideas if you had something in mind." This approach shows thoughtfulness and initiative while still leaving room for collaboration. It communicates that you've put energy into thinking about the interaction, which is itself a form of caring. If you genuinely don't have a preference in a particular situation, that's fine, but make sure it's not your constant default. Try alternating who makes decisions, or suggest a few options instead of leaving everything open-ended. Remember, most people don't want a partner who always defers to them. They want someone who brings their own ideas and energy to the relationship. Think of decision-making not as a burden, but as an opportunity to show who you are and what you value. Thing 7. You'd be perfect if only you. The seventh and final thing high-value men never say is, "You'd be perfect if only you," or any variation that suggests the woman needs to change to meet their standards. This might be commenting on her appearance, suggesting she change her laugh, criticizing how she dresses, or subtly pushing her to adjust her personality or interests. These comments, even when framed as helpful suggestions, communicate one clear message: you're not enough as you are. I once knew a guy named Mark who seemed to have everything going for him. Good job, great social skills, attractive. But he couldn't understand why his relationships never lasted. After some honest conversations with friends, he realized he had a habit of making improvement suggestions to women he dated. He'd say things like, "You know, you'd look amazing if you grew your hair out," or "You have so much potential in your career if you'd just be more assertive." Sometimes it was even more subtle. "Have you ever thought about trying yoga? I think it would really help with your stress." On the surface, these might seem like caring suggestions, but the cumulative effect was creating a dynamic where the women he dated never felt fully accepted or appreciated for who they already were. What Mark didn't realize was that these comments were creating insecurity and resentment, not motivation or appreciation. Each suggestion, no matter how well-intentioned, carried the subtext: you need fixing. There's a profound psychological impact when someone feels they need to change to be loved. It creates what therapists call conditional acceptance, the belief that they are only valued if they meet certain conditions. This inevitably leads to insecurity in the relationship and often eventual breakdown. One woman Mark dated for several months finally told him, "I realized I was starting to question everything about myself. My hair, my clothes, my laugh, even my career choices. I was becoming someone else to please you, and I lost myself in the process." This was a painful but necessary wake-up call for Mark. He hadn't realized the impact his helpful suggestions were having. High-value men understand that genuine connection comes from accepting someone for who they are, not for who they could potentially become with enough improvements. This doesn't mean they don't have standards or preferences. They absolutely do. The difference is they seek out people who already align with their values rather than trying to mold someone into their ideal. They understand that it's not their job to fix or improve their partners. Instead of suggesting changes, they emphasize appreciation. "I love how passionate you are about your work," or simply, "I really enjoy being around you." They focus on the existing qualities they admire rather than the potential changes they desire. If you find yourself wanting to improve someone you're dating, ask yourself, am I trying to connect with this person, or am I trying to create my ideal version of them? Would I want someone constantly suggesting ways I could be better? The right person won't need to be fixed or changed. You might grow together and inspire each other naturally, but that's fundamentally different from entering a relationship with a renovation project in mind. Conclusion. So there you have it. 7 things high-value men never say to women, and why avoiding these phrases creates stronger, more authentic connections. To recap: 1. They never apologize for their presence. 2. They don't promise to do anything to make someone happy. 3. They don't claim they're not like other guys. 4. They avoid putting women on a pedestal with out-of-my-league talk. 5. They don't default to "I'm busy" as an excuse. 6. They take initiative rather than always deferring decisions. 7. They never suggest a woman would be perfect if only she changed. The common thread through all of these is authenticity, respect, and healthy self-worth. High-value men communicate in ways that reflect confidence without arrogance, interest without desperation, and appreciation without idealization. Remember, this isn't about manipulating women or playing games. It's about developing genuine confidence and communication skills that allow for authentic connection. It's about showing up as your best self and inviting others to do the same. These principles apply beyond dating as well. They can transform your professional relationships, friendships, and how you interact with the world at large. Effective communication is a universal skill that enhances every area of life. If you've recognized yourself in some of these examples, don't be too hard on yourself. Awareness is the first step to change, and small adjustments in how you communicate can make a tremendous difference in your relationships. Start by focusing on one pattern at a time. Trying to change everything at once is overwhelming and usually ineffective. Remember, becoming a high-value communicator is a journey, not a destination. We all have moments of insecurity or poor communication. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress and growth. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content on building genuine connections and becoming your best self. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or experiences. I'd love to hear which of these resonated most with you. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and remember, how you communicate shapes how you connect.